Hello everyone. I'm so happy to see you all again in today's new episode. As always, I'll be sharing with you another emotional chapter in the love story of LyTuDiep and James, two people from completely different worlds, who somehow met at the most fateful moment of their lives. After countless ups and downs, they have built DJ agriculture together, a new beginning, not only for their careers but also for their faith, their love, and the dreams they have yet to fulfill. Today's story will continue with an unexpected turning point, when, behind the joy of success, dark shadows begin to appear. So, what will happen next to Diep and James? Stay tuned until the end of the video to find out. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to support this series. Late in the afternoon, the wind outside gently rustled the bougainvillea branches by the door, a few dry leaves falling softly onto the old brick porch. In the small kitchen, the warm yellow light cast a glow on Grandma Nee's gentle face, illuminating every wrinkle etched deep by time. She sat quietly beside the fire, her frail hands slowly stirring the ladle in a pot of simmering soup. Thin wisps of smoke curled upward, wrapping around her small figure in the chilly evening air. Across the room, Diep was chopping vegetables while James tended to the fire. Each had their own task, yet together they radiated a rare sense of peace, the kind that only exists in a true home, among people who have weathered life's hardships side by side. The aroma of freshly cooked rice mingled with the rich scent of braised fish and steaming vegetable soup, blending into the familiar fragrance of a countryside meal. In that cozy little space, Nee's laughter rang out like a small bell, bright and pure, making the kitchen feel even warmer, even more alive. Grandma looked at them, her eyes suddenly misty. She smiled softly, her trembling voice breaking the silence. "Seeing how much you two love this child, I can rest easy now. From today, let me stay here with you. I'm old, I can't take care of her forever." Diep paused and turned toward her. Under the golden light, her eyes shimmered with tears. She stepped closer, gently taking the elderly woman's wrinkled hands and said with quiet sincerity, "Thank you, Grandma. Nee is like my own daughter. I promise to take good care of her, to raise her in love so she'll never feel alone again." Standing nearby, James nodded silently. His eyes softened as he looked at Nee, who was arranging her dolls on the table, his expression filled with a tenderness he himself had no words for. Grandma smiled, a peaceful, contented smile that carried a lifetime of comfort. She glanced around the kitchen, where the warmth of the fire mixed with the soft clinking of bowls and chopsticks, where her little granddaughter's chatter filled the air, where two young souls shared a quiet glance that seemed to dissolve all the weariness of the world. That evening's dinner was simple, just white rice, braised fish, and a bowl of amaranth soup, yet it felt warmer than any lavish feast. When Nee's sweet voice called, "Grandma, eat with us," all three burst into laughter. Grandma gently picked a piece of fish for the girl and said softly, "Eat more, dear. It's going to be cold tomorrow." Outside, the drizzle began to fall. Raindrops traced long, glistening paths down the window, reflecting the soft golden glow from inside, like tiny drops of light. When the meal ended, Diep walked Grandma to the gate. The old woman wrapped her wool scarf tighter and turned back toward the porch, where little Nee was laughing brightly in James's arms. The golden light shone on her face, pure and joyful, like a flower blooming after the rain. Grandma let out a quiet sigh of relief. "I can rest easy now," she whispered. Her steps were slow as she disappeared down the narrow alley, but in her heart, every worry had melted away. Even in the cold season, she felt warm, not because of the coat on her shoulders, but because she knew her granddaughter had truly found a home. A place filled with laughter, with love, and with a future waiting just ahead. The next morning, the first rays of sunlight slipped gently through the dewy grapefruit leaves, shining down on the brick yard that had faded with time. The air was crisp yet fresh, filled with the scent of wet grass and freshly watered soil from the vegetable rows behind the house. In the distance, the crowing of roosters mixed with the soft clinking of cowbells, signaling the start of a new day. James had been up early. He carried a cup of hot tea out to the porch and sat quietly, watching the thin wisp of steam rise into the cool morning air. The small house, nestled among the orange and grapefruit trees, was still wrapped in mist, so still that even the sound of a falling leaf could be heard. A while later, James's mother stepped outside, a beige wool scarf draped over her shoulders. She gently pushed open the wooden door, its familiar creak echoing softly. "You're up early," she said warmly. "I'm used to it, Mom. Out here, people start working as soon as the sun rises," James replied, his gaze fixed on the distant fields. She smiled and poured more tea into his cup. The two sat side by side, saying nothing, just listening to the soft rustle of wind passing through the banana trees behind the house. After a moment, she spoke again. "Have you thought about partnering with your father's company? After all, he already has connections, manpower, and capital. It would make things easier for you and Diep." James was silent for a moment. He set down his cup, the sunlight glinting off the face of a man who had endured his share of storms. His voice was calm but firm. "I don't want to rely on anyone anymore, Mom. Diep and I will do this on our own. No matter how hard it gets, we'll take responsibility ourselves. I don't want to start by standing in someone else's shadow." His mother looked at him, her expression softening. His words brought back memories of the James she once knew, the stubborn young man who only knew how to spend money, believing everything could be bought. But now, in his eyes, she saw something new: maturity, calmness, and depth. "You've changed so much, James," she said with a faint, wistful smile. "You used to only think about success. But now, I see you thinking about responsibility, about others. I'm proud of you for that." James lowered his gaze, his tone gentle. "I owe Diep a lot. Without her, I'd probably still be lost in my old illusions. She taught me that everything worth having must be built with your own hands. Whether it's a small warehouse or a patch of barren land, if we work hard, it can still become something great." His mother didn't reply, only smiled, a soft, contented smile, her eyes glowing with quiet pride. From inside, the smell of toasted bread drifted out. Diep was bustling in the kitchen, while little niece stood beside her, stirring a cup of milk with a tiny spoon. The child's laughter filled the house, spreading warmth through the morning air. James's mother watched them and spoke softly, her voice carrying both love and wisdom. "You know, Diep reminds me so much of myself when I was young, gentle, hard-working, always thinking of others. Maybe that's why you've changed. A woman like that, if she meets a man who truly cherishes her, that's a blessing for life." James nodded quietly. He turned toward the doorway and caught sight of Diep wiping her hands, smiling toward the porch. The morning sunlight glowed on her hair, making her calm, kind face even more radiant. Little Nie ran out, grabbed his hand, and said innocently, "Daddy, Mommy said we're going to see the land for our company today." James lifted the girl up with a soft laugh. "Yes, we're going to take a look. DJ agriculture will start from that land, sweetheart." James's mother watched the scene, her heart swelling with emotion, part love, part pride, part peace. The years of pain and conflict were finally behind them. Before her now stood a grown son, and a warm, happy home, where love, perseverance, and faith were quietly taking root. She spoke softly, like a blessing. "Maybe Diep is the best thing life has ever given you, James. And you are the greatest pride of my life." Outside, the sunlight grew stronger. A new day had begun, the day they would lay the first brick for DJ Agriculture, marking the start of a journey to build their future with their own hands and hearts. In the first days of preparing for the new company, James was almost constantly busy. He rose at dawn every day, meeting partners, surveying farming areas, then spending long hours at his desk calculating production plans, logistics, and market routes. Though exhausted, there was always a determined light in his eyes, a quiet conviction that with perseverance, DJ Agriculture would become a beginning truly worth fighting for. Meanwhile, back home, little Nee was happily attached to her grandmother. Each morning, Grandma would walk her to school along the narrow path shaded by bamboo trees, their cheerful chatter echoing down the lane. In the afternoons, Nee would burst through the door, laughing brightly whenever she saw Diep cooking or watering the flowers by the porch. Life here was simple, no noise, no rush, yet the child's pure laughter filled every corner of the house with warmth and light. That afternoon, James left home earlier than usual. He headed to an old warehouse on the outskirts of town, once a collection point for farm produce from the days when he worked under his father's company. His purpose now was to explore the supply sources and see if he could reconnect with local farmers for future cooperation. The iron gate was rusted, and a few workers were busy loading goods. James greeted some familiar faces and walked deeper into the warehouse. Just then, a voice called out behind him. Well, if it isn't James. Didn't expect to see you here." James turned around. The man standing there was Hal, once his subordinate, who had quit after the old company's restructuring. Arms crossed, Hal smirked with a hint of mockery. "Heard you got kicked out by your dad, huh?" he sneered. "That fancy overseas degree must be just a good story to tell now. Who would have thought, the spoiled rich kid now rolling around in places like this?" James was silent for a moment. His eyes, calm but sharp, met Hal's without flinching. When he spoke, his voice was steady, neither loud nor harsh, but carrying unmistakable weight. "My family's business isn't your concern. I'm here to work, that's all. And you, if you still have any respect for this profession, you'd better focus on doing your job right." The air in the warehouse suddenly grew tense. Hal's face stiffened. He opened his mouth to reply but couldn't find any words. A few nearby workers quietly looked away, pretending not to notice. James said nothing more. He turned and walked off, his posture straight, each step measured but firm. The late afternoon sunlight streamed through the old metal frames, falling across his face, calm, resolute, and filled with an unshakable will. Outside, a soft breeze carried the scent of soil and sunlight. Inside James's heart, every taunt and insult had already drifted away like the wind. He knew now that what earns a person respect is not where they come from, but how they rise again after falling. By the time he left the warehouse, the sun had nearly disappeared behind the distant hills. The last golden rays reflected in his eyes, the eyes of a man truly beginning his life anew. From afar, James's silhouette grew smaller along the sun-dusted road. The red dirt path stretched toward the hillside, bathed in the pale gold light of late afternoon. Dust shimmered softly behind him, catching the sunlight like a thin veil. On both sides, rows of acacia and bamboo whispered in the breeze, their leaves brushing gently together, a tender sound, as if the wind itself were bidding him farewell. In the distance, birds called across the fields, mingling with the scent of burnt straw and the damp earth after last night's rain, a quiet, peaceful scene James had rarely known before. He walked slowly, his tall, lean figure outlined against the fading sun. With every step, it felt as if he was leaving behind a part of his past. Behind him lay the years of turmoil, when he stumbled in his career, was hurt by deceit, and was dismissed as nothing more than the rich man's son. The whispers, the judgmental stares, all of it was fading away now, replaced only by his steady stride and unwavering gaze. James knew the road ahead would not be easy. He would have to rebuild everything from the ground up, every contract, every ounce of trust, every relationship. But this time, he was not alone. At the end of that road was Diep, the woman who had believed in him even in the hardest times, and little Nee, the child who had taught him the true meaning of family. He smiled to himself, picturing Diep in the kitchen, busy with dinner, while Nee's laughter echoed through the porch. Such simple things, yet they had become the greatest strength that carried him through every storm. A soft breeze swept past, carrying the scent of fields and sunshine. James stopped for a moment and looked up at the clear sky. The last rays of the day lit his face, casting a warm glow over his calm, deep eyes. In that stillness, he spoke quietly, his voice low but filled with conviction. Between love and ambition, I choose both, but I'll begin with a sincere heart. The words drifted into the golden air, light as the wind yet firm enough to leave their mark. For him, every great journey began with something small, a belief, a companion, a home to return to. From the distance, his figure blended into the sunlight, fading into the endless fields. Above, a flock of birds arched gracefully across the sky, as if to welcome a new beginning. James didn't look back, he didn't need to. Behind him was home, where Diep and Nee waited, his anchor, his peace. And ahead of him stretched a long road, full of challenges yet shimmering with promise. He believed that as long as he kept his heart true, everything, one day, would bloom. Where will James and Diep's new journey lead them? Will they truly be able to build DJ agriculture from the ground up, with nothing but their own hands and unshakable faith, amidst countless challenges waiting ahead? After all the storms they've faced, James has chosen to begin again, leaving behind the privileges and fame of his past to carve out his own path. And Diep, the strong and steadfast woman beside him, continues to stand by his side, helping him lay each brick of their new dream, nurturing a home built on love and perseverance. But will that road truly remain peaceful? Or behind success, are there still hidden trials, schemes, and secrets yet to be revealed? All will be unveiled in today's video, where their story unfolds with new twists, raw emotions, and choices that could change the course of their future. Stay with me until the end of the video to discover what happens next in James and Diep's journey. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to support these two hearts, who continue to write their story of faith and sincerity. Because some stories aren't just about love or success. They're about finding yourself again in the midst of life's endless storms.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình đang làm video về câu chuyện của Diep và LyTuDiep đó mọi người. Đợi mình một tí. Hiện tại là mình vẫn đang làm bye bye mọi người.